Hi you guys, welcome. My name is Oceana. I'm in a hotel room, so this is not my normal space, but I am traveling for work right now and I didn't have time to make this video other than right now. So I'm gonna share all of the books that I read in March. I am sorry if you can hear a fan or like some background noise. I could not figure out how to turn it off. So we're gonna go with it, but I've got 14 books to talk about today. March was a very good reading month, which is surprising in a way because it was still a busy month for work, and plus I got sick for 2 weeks. So yeah, but during the sick time, I read a lot of books. So it was really good. And then I also have just been embracing like reading whatever I want to read whenever I want to read it. So like the TBRs, they're fun to do. I enjoy making TBRs just because I like looking at what books I might want to read, but I'm a mood reader, and so my moods change almost as soon as I pick books to read. So these were mostly spontaneous, some of them were planned, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about them. I'll be showing pictures since I don't have any of them here with me. I'm in a totally different province, so I had to fly here and I have a bunch of meetings, but I do have time right now to do this. So first off, I did read Husband Auditions. I might forget some of the authors here. I think by Angela Ruth Strong. This fulfilled my reading challenge for February, which was read a new to you author. So I'm really glad that I read it. I really enjoyed it. It was such a wholesome, sweet book, but very relatable. You follow this woman who, I think she's like 30, and she just feels like she wants to be married, but it's just not happening. And she loses her job for some reason. I forget. Anyways, she moves in with her brother, and her brother already has 2 roommates. One's a guy, one's a girl. And then the brother has to leave for work. So it's these 3 roommates now together, 2 girls and a guy. She is like figuring out her relationship with these people. She's also thinking about a job. And the guy that lives there, he's an aspiring filmmaker. And for some reason, this girl like gets this list of how to win a guy over, or like how to nail down a guy and like get him to marry you. And so he realizes that she has this list. He's like, can I film you doing these things on this list? It'll be funny, and then I can have a film, you can maybe meet some people. And she ends up agreeing to it. So they do form this relationship because he's filming her like doing these things with random dudes. And so it was very funny for that. I felt it a little bit like, I don't know if frivolous is the right word, but just there wasn't quite enough depth to the story and the characters for me to really love it. I gave it 4 stars. Definitely a really sweet romance. Like you can kind of see where that's going. Like they end up having the romance together, and I really did like the characters and everything, but it just wasn't quite deep enough for what I like to read in a Christian romance at this point. But it was super light and fluffy. So if you like that, super recommend it. It was very fun, and yeah, I enjoyed it. So then I made a video reading Christian Booktubers' favorite books, and it did really well. So I'm very happy that you guys enjoyed it as well. I'll link it down below. But I just picked 3 of my booktube friends, and I looked up their 5-star reads on Goodreads and wanted to see if any overlapped with the books on my TBR. So I ended up reading Where the Road Bends, A Noble Masquerade, and Kingdom's Dawn. So first I read Where the Road Bends, and this was from Amanda, from Book Lover Amanda's channel. And I loved this book so much. My reaction in the vlog is like exactly how I feel, so you should watch the vlog. But basically the back, it looks like it's going to be a light and fluffy romance, but then it's totally not. Like it went so much deeper than I expected, and I really enjoyed that. And it's a totally like clean Christian romance set in the 1800s, maybe 1900s, I don't know. It gave me Redeeming Love vibes, so you know, it's definitely not light and fluffy, that's all I'm gonna say, but it was just so good. I loved the characters, loved the side characters, loved the plot, just everything. And then I read A Noble Masquerade, and this I got from Alicia from For the Love of Christian Fiction. And this is another historical Regency romance, and it was so funny. That's what stands out. I wouldn't say it's as like intense as Where the Road Bends, but the humor was so on point. I was giggling the whole book. Really enjoyed getting to know this family and the characters. I liked the plot. I liked just the situations these characters get into. It was so funny to read about. So highly recommend that one as well. That's the start of a series. So that actually fills my reading challenge for March, is prompt, which is read a book in a series. So yeah, I'm happy that I did that. And I for sure want to keep reading this series. I think it's 4 books. And then I read Kingdom's Dawn and I gave it 2 stars. It was not my favorite. This is like medieval Christian fantasy. It's like an allegory actually for the Christian faith. There's certain characters in the book that you could see are like related to biblical characters. And I just didn't connect with it because I didn't really relate to the characters. And then like the things that were happening were like sad. Like it was a bad time for these characters. They were like slaves for a bit and there's like bad people everywhere. And I just wasn't into it. So I gave it 2 stars. But really enjoyed that video. So again, if you want to watch it, I will link it down below. Okay, and then I read Waymaker by Ann Voskamp. And I absolutely love this book. I gave it 5 stars. The writing, I didn't know, so I like did a bit more research. Apparently this is her kind of writing. Like she's very poetic when she writes in such a way that like speaks to my heart. I didn't find it over the top or like too much. I found it so beautiful, the way that she explained things that were going on. It's a bit of a biography. Like she shares a lot about her life, but then just like different things about the Christian life that we all go through, and just the way she described it. Seriously, that first chapter just hooked me because it opens with her on her honeymoon with her husband and things aren't going as she hoped, and just the way that she described her disappointment, I just saw myself in it. Like I just related so hard to those feelings. So I loved it and I would definitely recommend it. All right, then I read the prequel novella to A Noble Masquerade, which is called A Lady of Esteem. I gave this 4 stars, really enjoyed it. I listened to it on audiobook and it was just sweet. Like you follow kind of a side character from A Noble Masquerade, and it was really nice to see her romance because she's already with the guy in A Noble Masquerade, so you get to see their backstory, and it was really sweet. So I definitely enjoyed that one. Okay, then I read Outdated by Jonathan Pokluda, I think that's how you say it. So yeah, this is a dating book, but I kind of found that it was like maybe for the younger generation and for people who don't know quite what they're looking for or how to look for what they're looking for. So yeah, and then I'm also not dating. Like I don't date. So I didn't need tips on it because I just don't do it. So there you go. So I don't know what I was expecting, but I gave it a chance and I didn't get that much out of it. Then I finally read Sunburst by Susan May Warren. This is book 2 to the Sky King Ranch trilogy. Sunrise was the first book. So yeah, this is Sunburst. It follows a different brother and his story. I just found it a little like too over the top and like large scale for me to like find it believable because like he's I don't know what you call it. He's with the army or whatever. He's deployed in Africa, and then his like old flame that they met like on a vacation and kind of fell in love in 2 weeks, she's over there as well because she's from there, and they are like in this place where there's bad guys, and then they escape together, and then they're like in her village, and the village thinks they're married or thinks they're gonna get married, so then they have to get married, so they like pretend to get married, but then they actually do get married. It was a little bit of a mess in my opinion. And then just like the whole thing about like they're like stuck in Africa, but then they somehow get rescued. It just like was too big, I would say, for like a sweet romantic suspense I was trying to read, you know? It just didn't fit for me. So yeah, a bit of a letdown. I gave it 3 stars. There were some good moments and definitely some good faith moments, but I don't know, it just, like I said, it was too large scale, and definitely on the fence if I want to read Sundown because I've heard that's not the greatest one in the trilogy. but I have it on NetGalley, so if I don't read it, it's just gonna sit there, so I kind of have to read it still. So yeah. Okay, then I got sick. So the next chunk of books I read while I was sick. So first, Love at First Spite. Don't remember the author, but I DNF'd this book. It was not clean in any way, had a lot of language. Do not recommend it. That's all I'll say. But then I read The Bridge to Belle Island by Julie Klassen, and I just loved this book. I don't know why, it just hit me at the right moment. It's basically a cozy mystery. Something about the characters and the setting just was just right for me, and I really enjoyed reading it. Another fun part is you actually open with male characters, which isn't super typical for Julie Klassen. Usually you follow female characters from the beginning, but you follow these male characters who are lawyers, and this one guy, he kind of bombs a client, and the client turns out to be guilty, and he was trying to argue that she was not guilty. His whole firm looks really bad and whatever. So him and his partner are like talking about it, and then they find their other partner dead in his house, and they're like, what? And so it's kind of a murder investigation of who did this to this guy. The guy that died is connected to this Belle Island place, and he has a niece who lives there, and she is afraid to leave because of this like curse she thinks is on her family. And anyway, so one of the lawyers has to go and like question her, and it's like, you know, a little romance between them, and I just loved them. I loved that storyline and their relationship, and I really liked the characters. So yeah, I was super into it. I did not guess who did it by the end. I had 2 suspects and they were both wrong. So yeah, there you go. But it was enjoyable, so I would recommend it. Then I read Everyone is Beautiful by Katherine Center, and I loved this book. I found it really relatable to me. Even though I'm not anything like the main character, like she's a mom of 3 boys, she's married, and she lives in the States, so that's nothing like me. But I just really related to her character still, like her personality, the way that she saw the world, the struggles that she had. I just really enjoyed reading about it, and it's basically reading about how she tries to improve her life and the struggles of being a mom and being married. And there were just so many different aspects to the book that made it deep and made it interesting, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I have a vlog for this book and the next 2 that I'm going to talk about. It's called Reading Clean Romance While I Was Sick, so I'll link that down below too. I have more thoughts in there. And then I read Nora Girls Off Script, and I also loved this book. It was just a fun story, and it took me on a ride emotionally, because you think it's like gonna be some kind of way, and then it totally isn't, and I'm like, it was just fun. So for this one, you follow this single mom with her 2 kids. She writes a script about her divorce, and it's so good that they want to turn it into a movie and film at her house. And then the lead guy that they get to play her ex-husband is there, and there's a romance between them, and it was really good. For this one, actually, so for Everyone is Beautiful and Nora Goes Off Script, there is some language. It's not a lot, but it's there. And then for Nora Goes Off Script, there's off-page bedroom scenes as well that are like mentioned but not described in any way. So enjoyed that book. And then lastly, I read Roommade by Sariah Wilson, and I gave this book 3 stars. I just found that it was kind of just surface level, and I didn't really see any substance to the characters. Cool storyline, but was just kind of boring the way it was executed. You follow this guy who wants kind of a live-in maid to take care of his dog, because he's always out working. So he has a dog and he needs to keep the place clean. So this girl has nowhere to go and she needs a place to live, so she lives with him and takes care of his dog and does stuff like that. It's totally clean, there's no language, didn't get much out of it, so yeah. And then lastly, I did read Spy Family Volume 6, and I liked this one, but definitely losing steam. I'm so not into the missions that they go on. I want to see their family and what they're doing like as a family dynamics. So this one had a lot more missions and then some kind of annoying characters, I will say. But Anya is so cute, and the illustrations of Anya are so cute, and I could look at her all day. So that's that. But those are all the books that I read. I went through those really fast because I'm trying to not record too long because I know the fan is kind of annoying, but I also want to see if this is even usable. I don't know. But this is better than nothing. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on them. And tell me your favorite book that you read in March. For me, my favorite book is probably Where the Road Bends by Rachel Fordham. So good. I mean, I read quite a few great books though. So I had a great reading month. I'm really happy with it. And I hope that I can continue it in April, but we shall see. So yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.